Well, this is Dr. Von Mad. We're about to work some more on our project. I finally got back to it. I just got back from the doctor today about my knee. We're going to be out just a little bit longer, I'm afraid, but we're going to see what we got going here. I got to try to see if this glue gun's ready to go. I mean, I don't think it quite is. So what we're going to do is I've got a little bit of glue right here, and I'm going to see if it'll hold onto this. I've got another green pom-pom. I thought another little bush right here would be kind of nice. We'll see if it'll hold it. May not. Nope, the glue ain't quite ready. Alrighty. Well, in the meantime, we got another item we're going to be working on. I've got this dowel rod right here, and I need we're going to cut it down right about here. We're going to make us a conifer. Now, conifers, as we know, were quite common during the age of dinosaurs. So I've got this I'm just going to kind of plant it right here. I'm going to plant like felt foliage all the way down it to make it look kind of like a pine tree. Kind of put it maybe right over here because it's going to be a fairly large tree, and we'll put another, some other foliage around in here. Anyway, so what we're going to do is while I'm waiting for that glue gun to fire up, we're going to be using a little chocolate brown. Let me get my brushes down here. We're going to paint this tree trunk a little bit of chocolate brown, and then I'll go over it with a dry brush of gray, or a little white maybe, or green even for a little moss. Anyway, so we're going to start with this. We're going to grab our brush, we're just going to use this basic kind of a wide brush here. Just kind of paint this kind of a dark brown. What I like about using these actual wood for this stuff is that it soaks in the brown paint really well. And see, just basically we're going to cover that up and we're going to let that dry. And then I'll go over it with another coat, or maybe even over it with some hot glue or something. So I'm probably going to have to do a little painting around the ground with it with a pinpoint brush. So, because it's a pine, I want it to be a very thick pine tree, thickly foliated pine tree. So, in the meantime, let's put our, I think I'll be able to get enough glue, yeah. So, here's how we're going to do that. We're going to pop this loose. Got a bunch of stringers, you know how those are. And we're going to grab this if it'll let me get a hold of it. I'll plant another little bush right in there. What do you think, guys? Let's see, we'll glue. We're going to put our tree. I'm going to put one of the trees anyways, because I plan on putting a couple of them in here. We'll put the big one right in here. And grab this, hold it into place. And now what I'm going to do here is to make sure that it stays in place. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue down here to kind of look like the root system, because I'm going to try to do the same treatment around it. So, get rid of the string marks here. And there we are. Now, what we're going to do is, since this glue is still hot, if I let go it's going to fall. So what we're going to do now is we're going to blow on it. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to get enough air blown onto this thing to solidify this glue enough to make it workable. See? Now let's see. Okay, it's going to tip. We're going to have to hold it a minute or two here. So I want it to solidify just enough, and then we'll put like a tall, sort of, almost like a cedar type primitive conifer around it. Let me see how this glue's coming. Ah, yeah. Whoa. There we go. Nope, it's trying to tip. Hang on. Let's get it turned around here. if you need to, and if I'd have thought about it, if I knew that I was going to be doing it this way, I would have definitely drilled out a hole and put it in place. This is Dr. Von Mad. I'm back. I'm about to try to paint the root system for our plant and get the rest of this painted into place. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint, trying to get just a hint of this chocolate brown to kind of paint this root system, because this is going to be the base for the edge of this tree. It's the root system. It's kind of got a wide, sprawling sort of root system. So let's bring her around here. You'll notice there's a lot of media going on in this thing. So we're going to see how this looks. I'm going to let it paint dry, and then I'll start putting the bases onto it. So we got it dried up. I had to change the battery, guys, so forgive me for that. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to get some of this white paint here. Where's my palette? There it is. Let's move our dinosaur to one side for a minute so I can get the palette over here to show you what I'm doing. Alright, the palette's in place. Got some dried paint in there. I'll deal with that another time, but I'm going to use it for right now. Let me shake up this white paint. And we're going to add a little bit of this. I got a little black right here. Now what we're going to do is I want to add just a hair. There you go. Now, I'm going to mix this up. Get us a good flat chisel brush, something like this right here. Let me wipe this off. And now we're going to mix up our paint. It almost looked like a yin-yang, didn't it? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and I'm going to go along and I'll do the root system separately when I'm done. Let me get this dry brushed off here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go up the side. Kind of, we want to get, even though most of this is going to be concealed, I just kind of want it just in case any of this tree trunk shines through. Let me get this where you can see it. So I've got my palette over here, and I showed you all that. Okay, here we are. Grab a little bit more of this paint here. What we're going to do is we're going to go up the side with it now. What I'm doing is I'm trying to give it the semblance of having maybe a little tree bark going on here. Trees are not always brown, you know. So I'm trying to give it kind of a barky type appearance. And we'll do the root system after it cools off, after the paint dries. But that's basically it right here. And I'll put the branches on after I'm done with that. But let me bring this around where you can see it. See how that's going to be our tree trunk, and it'll have the rows of conifer leaves coming up, the needles coming up the sides. That's going to be made with our old friend, the craft felt. And that's how we're going to do that. And we'll also probably have another tree over on the other side. So, I mean, we're shaping up. What do you think, guys? Looking good? There's our snake. And there's the T-Rex. There's the water's edge. Like the way those ripples turned out. Looks like the water's a little choppy today. You can see the flowers back here behind him and little flat brims. I'm going to do a little bit more flat leaves and stuff. We'll do a little bit more of that. Too, we're going to add a little bit more undergrowth. But this is Dr. Von Mad. And we'll be back when the root system, when the paint on the root's dry, and I'll dry brush that, and we'll begin the next step of this. So if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be glad to see you. Hit the bell to get notifications, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.